welcome back to Tibera's Den, everyone, and welcome to another CAS Monday. Today we are creating the Charm Sisters, and I kind of really went back and forth on this because if any of you watch Charm, you know originally it was Prue, Piper, and Phoebe, and then, third season was Prue's last season, and then Paige Matthews came in. And so I kind of debated how I wanted to do this and which characters I wanted to add. And also for a bulk of the show, Phoebe is with Cole, and then, she gets Coop in the last season. That's who she ends up with. So I really, really went back and forth on which characters I wanted to create. Today we are just creating the three sisters, and I went with Paige instead of Prue, just because I feel like the show really grew as far as like content and such in the later seasons, and so I feel like Paige was a more essential character to that than Prue was, and so I went ahead and went with her instead of Prue, and that's who we're creating. I'm gonna create Leo, and I'm gonna go ahead and do Coop instead of Cole because I never really liked Cole anyway. And then I always forget his name, but the guy Paige ended up with, I don't know why I can't remember his name. I really liked him too, the parole officer guy. And so I'm going to go with him as well. And then I'm probably going to go ahead and create Wyatt and Chris as well for this file. But today we're just creating the three sisters. And then Friday we'll create their home. And then next week I'm going to create the boys and maybe the children. And then I'm actually going to create P3, the club. I think that would be really cool to have in my file as well. So you'll want to check back next week for that. And I really struggled. I really had a hard time. I'm not good at creating like specific looks. And I did have their pictures pulled up and was referencing those to try to create these guys, but I still really struggled. I think I got their essence though. You'll have to let me know if you agree or not down in the comments below, but I do think I really got their essence. So first off, of course, we're creating Piper, and I debated which aspiration to give her because it kind of develops as the seasons go on. So originally she wants to be a chef, like that is her aspiration. And then she goes on to owning a club, so I thought mixologist might be good. And then she really becomes family oriented and she wants to be a really good parent and whatnot. So I really debated. In the end, I went with Master Chef just because I have a lot of family oriented aspirations already in my save file and in my games, so I wanted something a little bit different. She's also a foodie, she is neat, and then she is family oriented, so I thought that was important to give her that trait even though her aspiration is different. And you'll see I struggled with her. I went back and forth a lot. I went back and forth with her hair a lot, and then just tweaking her face. Like I kept, because she just didn't quite look right, and so I just kept kind of playing with it and looking at the photo and just trying to get it right. But like I said, that is not my strong suit at all. And so I hope I did at least somewhat of a justice to those characters. But like I said, when you kind of see them all together, you definitely can tell who is who. But you wouldn't necessarily, just see her and go, oh, that's Phoebe or that's Piper or, things like that. And so, like I said, hopefully I did okay. But it was hard for me. This was definitely more of a challenge, and I just, like I said, kept playing and playing. And her eyebrows were very, very hard because she has very distinctive eyebrows in the Charmed show, and so that was really hard to try to get like the right arch and everything like that. So anyway, I hope I did a good job, but it was hard, and I think Piper is probably the one I struggled with the most on, because the other two definitely seemed to go a little bit faster, and I think it was just, trying to get that right look. And Piper, she's, I don't want to say basic, but she kind of has like a very simple element to her. She's not over the top at all. There's kind of like a comfort to her look and such. It's not too loud. It's not, screaming, look at me. it's not a very, she doesn't draw very much attention. Like, she's very kind of comforting, I guess is the best word I can come up with. And so I was really trying to get that aspect, with her look, everything from her hair to her clothes. But, even her clothes, there's normally like an aspect of like cuteness or something, that just kind of stands out, like a little detail. And so I was trying to capture that. But of course, the show was on 8 seasons, I want to say. And so there's a lot of different looks throughout that time. And that was really hard for me too, because I was like, do I go for their younger versions? Do I go for towards the end of the season? Like, which version of them do I go for? And in that aspect, I think Piper was probably the easiest, because she pretty much stayed true to, that character and kind of her looks and everything. Stayed true, where Phoebe kind of jumped around a lot with her look, especially her hairstyle and whatnot. And Paige too, she was redhead for a while. And so those two, trying to decide which one to go with was really hard, where Piper was a little bit easier to kind of get that classic Piper look. But it was still difficult. It really was. And I think after she had the kids and such, her look kind of became more functional, I guess is the best word, versus, some of her earlier looks as well. But like I said, her character kind of had a baseline where she didn't stray too far from. But yeah, this is Piper. I'm pretty much almost done with fiddling with her look itself, and then I'm gonna move on to a little bit of makeup. I didn't go over the top on makeup, but obviously TV show, they had some makeup, and so I just went with a very kind of neutral eyeshadow, a little bit of blush, nothing too over the top, and then like kind of a glossy lip, nothing with a lot of color or anything like that. The only one I went with a lot of color was Paige, because she definitely likes her color. She likes to play with that. And so that is her makeup. Very simple, very basic, but it is there. And I didn't do their full range of clothes like I have been. I'm definitely going to go back in and do that. But because I was struggling so much, I just decided I wanted to focus on their everyday look, and I would go back in later when I was in kind of the right mindset and I had a little bit more patience and time to devote and actually do their full range of outfits, because I think that is important. But I didn't have the patience for it while doing this video. And so for her, she wears a lot of like t-shirts and kind of layers like a t-shirt and a jacket. She does have some shirts that, like I said, have a little like cute detail on it. It's very basic and functional, but it like has a certain detail. And the shirt I actually ended up finding, I really like this option that's on screen right here. I almost went with this, but of course I wanted to look and see, if anything else worked well for me or for her. And so I did go through, and the shirt I ended up with, it just makes me think of the 90s, and so that's why I ended up going with it, because it's just a basic long sleeve, but it has like a little choker detail with a little heart, which I thought worked well for her. Like I said, a lot of her shirts and outfits do have like a little detail that is very cute and just a little bit extra to the shirt, while the shirt itself is very basic. And so that's why I ended up going with that. And this shirt would have been an option too. I think one of the pictures I found, she was wearing something very similar to this, but I just didn't scream Piper to me at all, because even though she does wear something similar to it on occasion, I think the little ruffles on the sleeves were just a bit too much. And so this is actually the shirt I ended up going with. Kind of made me think 90s with a little choker piece aspect there and the little heart, but it's still very basic, very functional. And yeah, I really liked it, and I thought it worked well for Piper. And then for her pants, I went with jeans, just a belted jean. I thought that was probably the most accurate. I went with these ones here. I do try on another pair or so, but these end up being the ones I go with. And these ones were just too baggy. Like, they definitely really like the form-fitting things. Obviously, it's a show and the sex appeal there. And I think out of all of them, Hyper's outfits are definitely the most functional. You know, if you're going to be kicking some demon butt, I think Hyper has the most functional outfits out of all of them. But yeah, I mean, it's cute. It's still flattering to her, but it's not too over the top, which I think is definitely very much Piper. So now I'm gonna create Phoebe here. And I was just trying to get, they were putting the skin detail on all of them, and I didn't like. So I was just trying to get a good base sim that I could adjust from. So something that kind of made me think close to Phoebe. And Phoebe's very tiny, and so I gave her, she wants to find her soulmate. She is romantic, that's a running theme. She's pretty self-assured as well, and then she's very active, especially when she was with Cole. She was very active, kicking butt and just getting in the best shape she could possibly be in. And so I wanted that kind of aspect for her as well. And then just trying to get her face right again. This was the most frustrating part for sure, was getting the right face for them. And like I said, I just fiddled and fiddled and fiddled, and I did have a picture up. And Phoebe definitely has a little bit more pointed chin, where Piper is a little bit more square. And I don't know. I hope I did a good job on Phoebe, but we'll have to see what you guys think at the end there, because I don't really know how I did. So I like them, but I don't think I had enough patience, like I said, to create an actual character that has already been created. I think I definitely do better with characters where they don't have to look exactly like a character that's already there. So, but I love Charm, and I wanted these guys in my save file, so that's what I went with. And so I gave her this haircut here, and I debated whether to give her the shorter haircut, because she does have shorter haircut in some of the seasons, like the little pixie cut, which I really liked for her. But in the end, I really liked this style, which I think this is more how she was in the first season. Like, she had kind of like the little bob cut there. And so that's what I ended up going with. I liked it, and I thought it worked well for her, even though I could have maybe gone with the pixie cut. I definitely didn't want to do longer hair, since Piper has longer hair, and then Paige is kind of middle of the road. And so I wanted to go with a shorter do for Phoebe, and especially because she does wear her hair shorter in a lot of the seasons, and so that's what I kind of wanted to go with as well. And so for her makeup, I went a little bit heavier, not too much. The eyeshadow has a little bit of highlight there, and then I give her a little bit heavier blush, and then I do the same thing, just kind of a glossy lip. And for Phoebe, I really debated on her outfit, because Phoebe kind of walks the line between functional and also showing off a lot of skin. And so I kind of debated on what I wanted to go with. And in the end, I like the outfit I came up with. It kind of covers both lines. And so I do end up doing a crop top. And I actually use one from Realm of Magic, which is nice, because I don't have an opportunity to use anything from Realm of Magic a whole lot. And I debated something a little bit more sporty, but she doesn't wear a whole lot of like sporty outfits. Even when she's, kicking butt and such, she doesn't wear a whole lot of sporty outfits. So I really kind of went back and forth, as you can see. But in the end, I actually go with this top here in the blue with the little moon and star. I thought that was cute. And like I said, it is showing off her belly. And then it does have kind of the longer sleeves and such. So it's a little bit more functional as well. And then for her, I went with just a pair of pants as well. She does wear a lot of skirts, so I could have gone with like a skirt option, but I ended up going with these pants here. And I actually went with red, because I just liked how that looked. And so I went with the red there as well. And then I just give her boots as well. So I debated about giving her these ones here, but in the end I went with these ones. I thought they looked good with the outfit. So that's Phoebe. I kind of went through her a lot faster. And I could have fiddled with her face a lot more as well and maybe gotten a little bit more of a Phoebe look. But in the end, that's what I came up with. And now we are on to Paige. And of course, her last name is Matthews. She is not Hallowell. And yeah, so Paige, she was probably the easiest for me, I would say. I did debate what aspiration to give her because in the beginning she's a social worker and then she teaches at the magic school. So I ended up going with that aspiration there. I thought that probably worked best out of all my options. And then she is a bit clumsy. She's always kind of messing up spells and such, but she is really good. Like, she has a big heart. And then her last aspiration I struggled with the most. I did not know what to give her. I ended up giving her the loner trait because she always kind of separates herself from her sisters. Like, she always wants to go off and do her own thing. And so she kind of has that wall between her and her sisters. So that's why I ended up going with the loner trait. Like I said, I kind of debated back and forth, but none of the other traits just seemed to fit well enough for me. And so that's why I ended up going with loner trait, like I said. And then she's a lot paler than the other two. Like, she's very pale. And so I went with the pale skin. I actually changed this one. This was a little bit too yellow tinted for me. So I do change one to more like of a pink undertone, is what I ended up going with. But it's still a very pale look for her as well. And then, she has the chin. It has a little bit of a dimple in it. And so I wanted to get that. And I think out of all of them, this one looks the most true to character. This sim does. I think I did the best on her. But she was also a little bit easier to, like, she has very distinctive features. And so I found her a little bit easier to do as well, other than her hair. There was a lot of different looks I could have gone with, and I debated whether the classic brown or red or like a reddish brown. I kind of went back and forth, as you see. And this look here made me think of her teenage Paige. And so I almost went with that, but then it's like, well, no, like, she's not a teenager for most of the show. Like, there's a few flashbacks and that's it. So I ended up not using that, and I debated this hair here as well. I thought that would have worked really nicely for her. And she styles her hair a lot. Like, she's definitely very adventurous as far as makeup and hair and outfits go. And this is actually the hair I went with, and I went with the classic brown. Even though she does change it up a lot, that's kind of fits her sisters a little bit more as well. And then I just kind of give her the same skin detail and just make her, like I said, a little bit more pink undertones. You can't see her earrings, but I figured she would definitely be wearing some earrings. And so I do give her a pair of earrings, even though you can't see them. And then, like I said, for her makeup, I definitely am a little bit more adventurous with that. And so I kind of go with this eyeshadow here. It is kind of more neutral. I didn't want to go too over the top. She is heavy on the blush, and then she is very heavy on the lipstick. And so I gave her, very heavy blush and then the red lipstick for her makeup as well. And then for her shirt, out of all of them, her outfits are the least functional for sure. Like, they don't really make a whole lot of sense for fighting demons and such, but she definitely likes to kind of show off. And so I went with this top here, a little bit more conservative, but definitely not very practical at all. And so that's the top I went with. And then I debated about her bottoms, and I decided I wanted to go with jeans just like her sisters. I debated about a skirt, but like I said, she's kind of all over the place with her outfits. And so I went with these jeans here, a little bit more low rise and kind of shows off her midriff just a little bit. And then I give her kind of unpractical boots as well. I give her these boots here, which, like I said, aren't very practical, but they're still boots. So, and then of course I put them in Glimmerbrook. But that is all. I'm going to leave you here for the screenshots, and we will see you on Friday for their build. Bye, guys.